replenish it, use it wisely, replenish it, and we replenish it more than what we use, definitely we're going to have a wonderful and lovely savings. But in this life, if we frivolously spend our good karma on taking care of our physical health, well-being, our physical and sensory pleasures, and we use the good karma that we have collected in previous lives and this life for only frivolous activities, sensory pleasures, then we are using up our positive karma, and we will have only negative karma. That is why certain people are very wealthy, very successful, and very high in life. All of a sudden, they fall flat on their faces. They lose their positions, they lose their name, they lose their everything, and they suffer, and they cry, they scream, they rant out, they look for help, they become desperate. Because they have been using their good store of karma for the wrong things and not replenishing it with more positive karma. Whereas a Dharma practitioner is modest in his possessions, in her possessions, in her activities, in her sensory pleasures, in his sensory pleasures. Therefore, using very little good karma, and at the same time practicing Dharma and collecting more positive karma, adding to what they have already had, replenishing and increasing. Therefore, a Dharma practitioner will only move up. And if a Dharma practitioner has more problems and more sufferings, if a true Dharma practitioner, one who really practices Dharma, have more sufferings and more problems and more heartaches, it is a very good sign. Why is it a very good sign? Because the karma for them to suffer in a deeper, more rough and harsh environment is exhausted. Example, if you were to be very thirsty, if you had the karma to be thirsty, if you have the karma, that karma is karma. If you're thirsty as a human in this human realm, in a particularly okay country, okay environment, even though you're thirsty, you suffer for a short while of thirst, then you can go out and get something to drink, ask for something, look for something, buy something. Whereas if you are thirsty and you are in a hell situation or animal situation, you will not be able to get anything for yourself. It is the same karma, but due to the environment, the suffering will be more or less. Is that clear? Does anyone have questions on that? I want that to be very clear. If you were to suffer the karma of being thirsty in a human realm, the thirst will be temporary and short and not as hard or difficult to bear. Whereas if you have the same karma in a different environment, such as an animal, or such as in the spirit or hell realms, you will not be able to take care of your thirst. It is the same karma. Like that, as a real Dharma practitioner, a good Dharma practitioner, if you get sufferings, financial disasters, disharmony, headaches, heartaches, physical discomfort and sickness, you should in fact, if you are a real Dharma practitioner, rejoice with dignity and happiness and accept your lot. You should realize that you are purifying your negative karma now. And by the blessings of the three jewels and the gurus and your purificatory practices, you are suffering your negative karma now, and therefore you will not have to suffer it in the future. Not have to suffer in the future. For example, if you did lots of Om Mani Padme Hums and you were meant to have a car accident, and you did a lot of Om Mani Padme Hums, and you help people, and you assist, and you do charity, and you control your anger, ignorance, and desire, and lust. You control these to the best of your ability and lessen it and practice. You still have the karma to have the accident, and maybe you were supposed to break both your legs and your arms and injure your spine in the accident. Due to some purification practices you have done, you will still have the accident, but maybe break only one arm, as opposed to both your arms and both your legs and your spine. Whereas if you increase the power of your practice, you can even prevent yourself from having any broken bones, just a light accident. Whereas if you purify your negative karma even more by practice, you can even, instead of having a heavy crash, you can have just a light skid and maybe a slight dent. And if you even practice more, you may be able to purify your karma completely, that you do not have an accident at all. At all. Can affect your karma, can affect a change in your what happens to you. True. But you ultimately have to do it. They will teach you, show you, and explain. But you, in fact, have to do it. If you know you're going to have an accident tomorrow, Kuan Yin comes into your dreams and says to you, don't go out tomorrow. But you don't listen to her words. You're very excited to meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You're very excited to go out to a disco, and you're attached to the disco. You're attached to your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you can't let go. You ignore her advice, you get into an accident. It is not Kuan Yin's fault. She did protect you, she tried her best. Ultimately, you have to suffer the karma. Whereas from the beginning, if you have lessened your delusions of attachment, anger, hatred, if you have already begun lessening that, and then Kuan Yin gives you an answer in your dreams or a warning, and you listen, because you have already lessened your attachment, instead of going to see your boyfriend or girlfriend or to that bar or disco, you call up your girlfriend and boyfriend and say, I can't make it today, please forgive me. And then you don't go, you can avoid it. That is a very rough example. You are taught the methods. You are given the methods. It is up to you to practice. If something goes wrong, don't go wailing and crying to your teacher. Don't close up your altar, scream at Kuan Yin, scream at Buddha, and say, why you didn't help me? That is not logical. When you do that, it may be very dramatic. Other Dharma practitioners who don't know much may think, oh yeah, that's true. But people who know the truth, people who understand the workings of karma, will in fact have great pity, will have great compassion and say, oh, he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand. They don't understand. Never mind. The Buddhas can work only if you agree and you try it and you do it. The lamas and the rinpoches and the sifus and the monks can only do something for you if you agree to do it wholeheartedly, not half-heartedly, not quarter-heartedly, not 1 or 2%, 100%. Okay, if we have to bargain, 50% for now, but at least make an attempt. These teachings are designed to take you out of suffering. It is not designed to imprison you. Just as I gave you the example yesterday, a railing is designed to protect a child from falling over the ledge. It is not designed to imprison the child. The rules of a country, the rules of a city, the rules of a house, rules of the school or institutions are there to protect the individual on the whole, not to imprison the individual. If it is a rule or on the basis of truth and honesty, of course. It is designed to protect the individual. Like that, Buddha gives you teachings to protect you. The Dharma is protection. The real object that you go for refuge and you trust is the Dharma. When you actually practice the Dharma and you engage in the Dharma and you read, contemplate, think, and enact the Dharma in your lives, will you see a difference? If you do not enact indifference and you do not practice the Dharma, how do you expect true happiness and peace to come? If you think it is to get a higher and better job, bigger salary, expand your work, expand your fleet of cars, expand your fleet of wives. No. If that was the case, then the more wives, the more cars, the more jewels you have, you should be in continuous, non-stop bliss. And I don't think any of us are. Therefore, think about the workings of karma. Now you may think, well, I have already created this karma. I have to suffer what I have already created. I have no choice. No, that is not the case. That is not the case. There are certain types of karmas that you have which you cannot stop anymore, which already has sprouted. There are certain types of karmas that you do not have to suffer, that are yet to sprout or have begun to sprout. Begun. For example, if you are very sick, and through this sickness you are meant to die, very severe sickness, and you are meant to die, and you do good practice, and you do purificatory practices, and you do, excellent practices. You do practices to purify and to collect good karma. You will still get sick, but at the same time, maybe you won't die. At the same time, you won't die. You will live. You will live, you will continue. How much you enact the Dharma and practice it in your lives, how much in the degree, and the sincerity, and the authenticity of your practice will reflect in your daily lives. Immediately, in your attitude and your mind. Immediately. Slowly, in your way of life. Because what is your physical form? Examples such as your physical form and the place you live, that karma has sprouted. Therefore, you are in your particular physical form, particular shape, likes and dislikes. It's already sprouted. There's not much you can do on that. But things such as wealth, things such as sickness, things such as, an ignorant mind, these things can still be changed. Because the karma has not fully sprouted. Has not. Why has it not fully sprouted? We can see it because the mind still can be changed. Health, we can get well. There are medicines, there are methods. Think about it clearly. Things that you cannot change because the karma has ripened, you take it with dignity, a pinch of salt, and accept with grace. And not wail out, scream out, shout out, fight back, kick and grovel on the ground, and complain about your lot to others again and again. What benefit does that bring?